Welcome back, folks. Today the topic of interest is building a strong base of self-esteem. So in this video, we're going to be speaking specifically about relationships. So if you feel like you struggle with, self-sabotaging your relationships, or you struggle with feeling that you're unworthy of love, then this video is definitely going to help you out. So we're going to start off by breaking down what self-esteem is, give us a definition, then we'll work straight through it and then really get into the nitty-gritty of things. So I'll start off with a definition. So the definition that I've got for self-esteem is the way that a person feels about themselves at any given moment in time. So more specifically, how adequate a person feels to be able to handle the challenges that life will bring to them. So how adequate a person feels about their ability to handle the challenges that life brings to them. So the way that you feel about yourself, how adequate you feel, is normally a compound of the decisions that you have made. So it's a result. So every time you're making decisions on a day-to-day basis, your mind is recording you. So every time you make decisions that are in line with your best interest, your mind goes, you know what? Bradley's doing a good job. He stood up for himself. He's treating himself as though he's somebody who matters. Let's give him some self-esteem points. Ping, 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 ping. It gives you some self-esteem points. Your self-esteem rises. The way that you feel about yourself, your adequacy level goes up. Every time you make decisions that go against your best interests, every time you don't stand up for yourself when you should, every time you treat yourself as though you're not somebody who matters, your mind goes, you don't deserve to feel good for this. So it takes away self-esteem points. And then, the way that you feel about yourself lowers. Now, the way that you feel about yourself is going to fluctuate. So there'll be days where you're feeling like, I'm the best. And then there'll be days where you're not feeling as great. So what we're aiming to do is we're aiming to have a strong average level of feelings of adequacy for ourselves. Now, when we get even more specific, just for the purpose of this video, when we break down what self-esteem really is, self-esteem is made up of two components. So it's made up of a thing that we call self-efficacy. So self-efficacy is your confidence in your ability to figure things out. So self-efficacy means I'm confident that I'll be able to figure things out. So if I was to throw you in a different room, throw you in a brand new job role that you know nothing about, how confident would you feel that you'll be able to figure things out? That's what self-efficacy is. Now, the second component, which we'll be covering about in regards to self-esteem, is a thing that we call self-respect. So self-respect speaks more so about how worthy you feel. So how worthy do you feel that to be able to experience success? How worthy do you feel to experience happiness? How worthy do you feel to be able to live life on your own terms? So self-respect is all about worthiness. Now, a lot of the time when we're talking about relationships, when they break apart, a lot of the time it's not necessarily that you may have picked a bad partner, but sometimes it's just that you haven't developed your self-esteem to a level where you're able to maintain healthy relationships. And this is very, very important, because the way that you feel about yourself, your confidence in yourself, how worthy you feel about yourself, will determine who you select. So you normally select partners who are in resemblance to the self-esteem level that you have for yourself. And one of the biggest barriers when it comes to romantic relationships, of course, is the feeling that you are unworthy of love, the feeling that you don't deserve to have love, that you are unlovable. And this is normally a deep-rooted thing, so it normally stems from childhood. So it's always childhood, isn't it? It's always childhood. So more than likely, maybe your parents didn't meet your needs in a timely manner. So maybe you were neglected, so you'd be crying, but nobody comes to give you milk. Maybe they shouted at something at you in an emotionally charged way. So they said, this is why your father left. Or, you've brought lots of trouble in my life. Maybe something like that happened and you took it in because you're a child. You're unable to interpret reality in an accurate way. So you just take things in, and then that becomes your life script, the belief that you are unworthy of love. And it will normally manifest in different behaviors, which we'll cover. So I've highlighted 5 different ways that a person can self-sabotage. Now I can speak freely about this because this is something that I've struggled with, because there was a period in my life where I was just getting the same results. I'd be talking to loads of different people and it'll always end the same. And I've been thinking, why is it ending this way? I'm Peng, right? I've got a nice goatee, a good fade, I got gains. What the hell, right? I'll be thinking that, like, what the hell, right? So I've got a couple notes as well that I wanted to read out to you because I think it's really, really important to highlight these things. Then we'll really get into it. So one thing that's really important that I had to highlight as well is, just for your own information, is that if you lack respect and enjoyment for who you are, you'll have very little to give except your unfulfilled needs. So in your emotional impoverishment, you tend to see people essentially as sources of approval or disapproval. So hold on to that thought. Now, when we're talking about feelings of unworthiness, one of the signs or one of the indicators or manifestations of feeling unworthy is that you normally tend to pick partners who are unavailable to you, emotionally unavailable. So what does emotionally unavailable look like? So that normally be people who are already in relationships, people who are emotionally jacked up and not in a good mental space to be in one. And because you're picking these partners, unconsciously, you're living up that life script that you're unworthy of love. You're living that life script that you are destined to fail. So you pick this partner, You spend time with them, then there'll come a point where you want something more, you want it to go to the next level, and then they're unable to take you there because they're emotionally unavailable. Then it falls apart, and then you think, I'm unworthy of love. It's because I'm no good. It's not necessarily that you're no good, it's just that you're picking the wrong type of people. So that's the first manifestation of it. The second manifestation that you may be having the frame that you believe that you're unworthy of love is that you push people away. So you push people away before it gets here. So you reject them before they reject you. So because you're coming from that frame of mind that you are unworthy of love, that you're thinking, I'm not somebody who's worthy of love, you push them away. Now, there's one key thing that I have to highlight as well, just before I give you the example, because it will really, really open your eyes to a couple of things. So this is one of my notes. That you've often heard it said that if you do not love yourself, you'll be unable to love others. But the less well understood aspect is the other half, which is if I don't feel lovable, it is difficult to believe that anyone else loves me. If I do not accept myself, how can I accept your love for me? Now hold this. This is the example. So this is what I used to do. So you reject people before they reject you. So let's say you're in a relationship, it starts off fantastic, going good. Then come to a point where it's supposed to get super close. And when you're getting too close, there's a point where you think, because I'm destined to be rejected, because I'm destined to be abandoned, because I'm destined to not be loved, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push you away, because if you get too close to me, there'll come a point where eventually you will abandon me. So I'm going to reject you first. You push them away. Everybody's confused, but you're living that life script. Now, the other aspect of that, which is why I wanted to read that particular thing to you, was this. Sometimes you can be in a place where you actually do get in a relationship with the person. So you haven't pushed them away just yet, but you're spending time, you probably started off the relationship, but a part of you still feels like this person doesn't really, really love me. So they break their back to show you that they care. They break their back to show you that, I really love you. I really care. They do a whole lot for you. And there comes a point where they do a whole lot for you. And there comes a point where there's a moment where you think, man, this person really does love me. They really do care about me. And then because you haven't come to a place where you've accepted and loved yourself wholly, you're unable to accept and appreciate their love. You're unable to accept it because you're thinking, if I don't think I'm lovable and they love me, I can't accept it. So if they really love me, then maybe I set my bar too low. And then you reject them. You think, no, reject. Right? Crazy, innit? So because they love you, you're thinking, nah, I've set my standard too low. And then you reject them. So that's another way that you can reject others. Crazy, innit? Then the fourth way that a person this also manifests is that you come into your relationships with your unmet needs. So going back to what I read out to you guys earlier, when I said that if you lack respect and enjoyment for who you are, you'll have very little to give in your relationships except your unfulfilled needs. So in your emotional impoverishment, you'll tend to see people essentially as sources of approval or disapproval, meaning that because you have your unmet needs, because you haven't come to a place where you've loved yourself, you've not come to a place where you filled your own cup, you'll be reliant on your partner to fill your cup for you. But because your cup is not full, and because it'll never really be enough, because you've not come to a place of filling that cup, you'll be like a sieve. So they'll be busy pouring flour into yourself, pouring love into the sieve, but it's just gonna come out the holes in the sieve because it's unfillable. So you make essentially huge demands on your partner. So you'll be thinking, I need you to spend time with me all the time. I need you to spend time on the phone with me all the time. I need you to continuously reassure me. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And what happens is that your partner may comply because they really like you, but then there'll come a point where it becomes exhausting. And once they get tired, they'll reject you. They think, I can't do this anymore. I can't fill your cup because you haven't filled it up yourself. And that's one of the manifestations of feeling that you are unworthy of love, right? No amount is enough for somebody to give to you. So how do we fix this? Right? What do we do? How do we fix this? So essentially the way that you fix this is that you have to reverse engineer all this. So remember how we talked about how the feelings of unworthiness of love, the feeling of that aspect of self-respect is missing, the worthiness to experience love, your feelings of worthiness. It normally said that we stemmed from you having unfulfilled needs as a child, your needs being unmet. What you have to do now is you have to come up to a place now where you start meeting your needs. And I can almost guarantee you, I'll bet a whole lot of money on this, that there's one aspect of your life that you must address. So there'll be one aspect of your life where you have to give love to yourself. Right? So maybe it means that you have to change the dynamic with a particular family member. Maybe it means that you have to start living a life that's on your own terms. So maybe you've lived a life that your parents wanted you to live, or you've lived a life that, family members or your friends wanted you to live, but you're not really living in line for you. And because you're not living in line for you, you're not giving yourself that self-love, that self-respect. You have to give that self to you. Because remember I said self-esteem is a result of the decisions that you made. So you can fix this, but it stems from you giving love back to yourself. So a lot of the time, all this is really connected. It's so crazy. But a lot of the time, when a person feels that they're unworthy of love, it'll materialize in many different forms. And one of the most common forms that this will materialize, it will materialize in somebody who is a pleaser. So if you normally please people a whole lot, or people tell you, quote unquote, that you're too nice, it normally stems from this: the feelings that you feel that you're unworthy of love. You feel you overcompensate by giving to people, you overcompensate by being there for, or you overcompensate by pleasing others because you have that deep-rooted fear of being abandoned. So you're not living life on your own terms. So this is really mind-blowing. But it goes back to that. So there's one aspect of your life and you need to figure out what that is and then fix it. So if you need help with that, I'm a coach. Hit me up, jump in my DMs. I'll be happy to assist you with that. But that's the video and the idea for today. You guys take care and we'll speak again soon. Peace.